as we're experiencing and feeling and living, we're also receiving guidance on how to move forward for our soul growth, for our evolution, and to live in alignment. It's this constant flow of energy, and that essentially is the Akashic Records.
Hello, passionate listeners and watchers. Welcome to Passion Harvest. I am Luisa, your host. Thank you so much for joining me wherever you are in the world right now. I am so excited about our guest today, Ashley Wood. Ashley Wood teaches the wisdom of the Akashic Records. Ashley empowers individuals to align with their most divine, multidimensional self. She is the founder of Align Within. This is her story and this is her passion. Ashley Wood, welcome to Passion Harvest. I'm so excited and honored to have you on the show today. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored and excited to be here as well.
I'd like to talk about the Akashic Records. What are they? How did you get involved? I mean, this is lots of questions. How did you get involved? What are the Akashic Records?
The Akashic Records, they are... Well, we'll start at the basics. The Akashic Records are an energetic library of your soul's history. So we all know what a library looks like. I don't know where you live, if you go into them right now or not. I haven't been in a library in a really long time because they're still not open here. But when you go into a library, there's books everywhere and you can look up different things and learn about different things. And the Akashic Records are essentially a metaphysical library of your soul's history. So if you're going to get down with the Akashic Records and believe in them, first of all, you have to believe that your soul has lived multiple lives, that it's not just this one life, because we are all multidimensional energetic beings, and we have had hundreds, if not thousands, of other experiences in other physical bodies, in other dimensions, in other realms, on other planets. Like, the amount I've learned in the Akashic Records by reading through other people is just incredible. So the Akashic Records hold the history of everything your soul has ever experienced and also will experience, because in the Akashic realm, time and space is not as we understand it on linear Earth plane. The Akashic Records are recorded through our emotions. Our emotions are energetic frequencies. This is how we communicate with the universe, with each other. We communicate through emotions. Our emotions are energy. Our emotions are felt more strongly than our words even. And our words are very important. It's sound frequency, but first and foremost is our energetic frequency, which are our emotions. So every emotion we have ever felt, whether it's conscious, subconscious, whether it lasts a second, whether it lasts a full day, whether it, like, however long these emotions are, it doesn't matter. Any emotion that is felt is recorded in our Akashic Records. They are so delicate that it is imprinted in our Akashic Record, the emotion. Now, this does not mean that we ignore our emotions. It's so important to feel everything, because as we experience our feelings and this energy that's coming through us, our emotions, we're recording and writing our Akashic Records. But you know the infinity symbol, how it works like this. As we record our Records, we receive guidance from our Akashic Records. So that's where our intuition comes from as well. That's where our messages come from. We can talk about the line and the frequency as well, but that's where our guidance comes from and our messages. And so as we're experiencing and feeling and living, we're also receiving guidance on how to move forward for our soul growth, for our evolution, and to live in alignment. It's this constant flow of energy. And that essentially is the Akashic Records. Now, I'm aware that I teach them very differently than most people out there, but it's entirely how it has come through me to teach. More of like a modernized version of what the Akashic Records are, understanding them in this new world frequency. And that's it. Those are the Akashic Records. I mean, we could go on and on, but that's essentially what they are.
Thank you so much for that. And I love that you spoke about emotions. Well, what is good and bad, but positive or negative emotions, it's important to feel all of them.
Yes, all of them. Our emotions are our messages. We don't want to numb ourselves from our emotions. Now, this doesn't mean that we want to sit in these denser energies or sit in these emotions, but we also are very intelligent, sophisticated, energetic beings, and we can be comfortable in the nuances of emotions. And so we can be in a space of love and alignment and still feel fear. We can be in a space of release and surrender and stillness and acceptance and still have doubt. Like, we are able to hold a capacity of different energies and emotions at one time. I like to bring it back to gratitude, because gratitude is a frequency of love. And so even when we're moving through a really challenging time, which everyone moves through, and we do not want to bypass these are our greatest moments of transformation. Our catalyst for change is when we experience these moments of fear or despair or loss. Like, usually that's a birth of transformation. Like, it's a really important time. But if we can bring ourselves back to gratitude in those times of challenge, I am grateful for this learning experience. I'm grateful for this opportunity. I am grateful for the growth my soul and consciousness are experiencing during this time. We're brought back to our middle space, which is our place of clarity, our place of connection, our place of stillness. And we're also then in a vibration of love. It's love that is coming out and managing all these other emotions that we're experiencing, but we're in a place of love. And so when we come to that gratitude, we don't have to bypass these darker, denser emotions, which I know in many places in the spiritual community, it's like your vibe attracts your whatever, like however you're feeling, that's what you attract. And the way that the energies that I work with, the pinnacle, have explained this to me is that we get our messages from our Akashic records that are energetic frequencies. Step one, follow your messages, follow them. And feel whatever, but follow them. It's like instruction. It's like Earth School. We have free will, but free will, choose them, follow them, live an aligned life. Step two, taking it to the next level, is working on embodying the frequency of that message. So believing it, feeling it, being it, and taking action. So sometimes we'll just take action and we'll still be in fear, in hesitation, in doubt, but we'll still do it, which is moving us forward down that path of aligned destiny. But to take it a next step further is really feeling and embodying the energy within that message, which then just almost accelerates our alignment and expands our consciousness in an even greater way. This doesn't mean that we aren't to feel our other emotions. It just means that's the step, like we move through a variety of different experiences. And so feel everything, but also come back to heart center, come back to gratitude, come back to the middle space.
I love the way you explain that. And no one likes being in fear or uncomfortable, but it happens to all of us. And every moment is an opportunity for growth, not to remain stagnant and dwell in that.
Yes, every single moment is an opportunity for growth. And we really do believe that everything is falling into place exactly as it should, exactly as it's designed to. If we're taking action on our messages and we're living with that awareness and that connection to our highest self, we're never led astray. Things might not turn out the way that we think they will, but usually that thinking comes from ego. Not usually, always. That thinking comes from ego, and our highest self has a much more beautiful plan for us than our ego. So yeah.
Beautiful. You talk about messages. Many people say, well, I'm not receiving any messages. What are my messages? How do they connect with their messages or hear their messages or feel their messages?
So our messages are so subtle, and I'll go into the line now. So, and then we'll talk about messages. So the line, this came through for me when I started to really receive information about the Akashic records, but they said, like, modernize this, show everyone how they're receiving from their records all the time. So we all have an energetic frequency that is running through us called, I call it the line, but you can imagine it as like I have a piece of selenite there, but it's like a white piece of selenite that's running through our bodies behind our chakra system. And every moment of every day, all the time, 24/7, all the time, we're receiving an energetic frequency, messages that are coming directly from our Akashic record, entering the crown of our head, moving down the midline of the body, going into the earth beneath our feet to be activated and brought into the physical, and then coming back up into our body for us to receive, for us to translate, for us to understand. Now, first, before it goes in the earth to be brought into the physical realm, our energy is coming through, our messages are coming through as emotions. And so you might not be receiving messages in terms of words in the way that you're understanding them, but this is why, first and foremost, it's important to connect into your emotions. Feel your emotions to understand how your highest self is communicating with you, because your emotions are messages. So when emotions come up, really think about them. What is this telling me? Like enjoyable emotions or more dense emotions. Like, just allow yourself to go deeper. What is this telling me? Where is this coming from? That's the first way to like open yourself up to this energy that's moving through you. Now, your messages can be as subtle as, like, well, here's an example. 2 days ago, I forgot to take the garbage out the night before. I live in a very rural area. And so there's a garbage truck that picks my stuff up, my trash up once a week. And if I miss it, I have to take it to a dump. And I've never even been there. I don't want to go there, but I forgot to do it the night before. And the garbage truck comes early in the morning. And so I came downstairs after I woke up. I was making my coffee, like just kind of relaxing, taking a slow, easy morning. And then I just had a message: you forgot the garbage, go do it right now. And it was just, some people wouldn't even think of that as a message, but more of, they're like, oh, I just remembered something. But then I go and take the garbage out. I'd walk it all the way down my lane, put it at the end. And as I get there, the garbage truck is coming. And I'm like, oh, thank you. I like thanked my high self. I'm like, thank you, thank you, thank you. And that's how simple messages can be. We often do not allow ourselves to believe if it sounds like our own mind or it sounds like our own voice, but that's what they are. Remember, it's energy coming through your body, going into the earth, coming back up for you to receive it, for you to translate it. And so your beautiful human brain is going to translate these energies, translate these messages into words that you can understand. And so when you have these rememberings or these ideas that just keep you in alignment, as in keep your day flowing with ease, remembering the garbage, like it's so simple. I also get messages through numbers. I receive communication through numbers often. The energies I work with are always talking to me through numbers. And so if you start to see a number all the time and you're noticing it, yes, you can look it up online. What does this mean? But I actually encourage you not to. I encourage you to go deeper within and we teach a practice called align activation that connects you to your highest self and your messages, and ask yourself, what does this mean for me? Because recently I've been looking at people's definitions of what these numbers mean, like 999, 888, 777. I look at them online. I'm like, that's not my truth. That's not what it means for me. It means something different for me. And it means something different for absolutely everybody. Maybe you're receiving messages through songs. I often receive messages through songs where I'll wake up and I'll have a song in my mind and it'll just be playing on my mind and repeat. And then I'll listen to it. Maybe the lyrics are speaking to me, or maybe after some time, I remember back to a time that I was listening to that song and what was happening in that time. Like it's bringing me back to a memory of healing or a memory of knowing or connection. Like there are infinite ways to receive our messages. The most important thing is to become aware of ourselves and our surroundings and what's happening, and be curious and open. That's how you begin to really connect into the messages that are flowing through you all the time. And every single person on this planet is getting them. Everyone.
I love that. And they can be so simple. They don't have to be profound insights.
No. In fact, usually the insights that we think are so profound are actually so simple. Like they may feel profound to us, but they're so simple. They're just a small little stepping stone on our path. Our messages are not these massive boulders that we like climb up a cliff and we're like, I made it. They're these small stepping stones along a path, and we just take one step at a time.
I've got so many questions to ask you, but I just want to just quickly touch on the Akashic Records, the library of our soul. What, for those that haven't ever had a Akashic record reading or don't know much about it, what can you see from if a client comes to you, or I know you have other people working with you, what do you see in the Akashic Records, and how does it help the individual?
I cannot comment on anyone else's experience, but for myself personally, and I say this lightly for anyone who is learning the Akashic Records, it's different for everybody. Like, it is different for everybody. And this is energy. So I'm going to be putting words to something that you will never be able to see in my own experience. Like the way I see in the records, I'm using the English language to try to describe it. But even that falls short. So, but my journey in the records, I see, I hear, I feel, and I know, like all of it. So it's different for every person, because it's like when I open the records for somebody, I'm going into their house, like I'm going into their soul house. So it's going to be different for every single person. It also depends on how open the other person is. So if the other person is very open and I go into their house and they're like, I'm going to show you every single room, right down to my underwear drawer. Like, I'm going to show you everything. I'm going to get so much information. But if I go into someone's house and they're like, you can only stay in the living room, don't touch anything, it's going to be a little quieter. So, but when I go into the records, I see images, like as if I'm watching a movie. Like, it's that clear. Especially with past life stuff, I will see a scene play out, and it's like my imagination, but it's like I'm watching a movie. I see colors, I see words, and then I hear. But when I'm channeling, it's just flowing through me. Like, it's not like I'm having to think about how to put words together. It's just, pardon me, it's just flowing through me. So as the words are coming out, my human mind is seeing these visuals that just allows me to wrap it all up, but I'm not really doing anything. Like, I'm very open and very surrendered to allowing the energy to move through me. As soon as I start to try, it shuts down. So it's different every time, but for the most part, it's just the free flowing words that are just coming out, but then also seeing pictures and images while it's coming out.
And do people come to you with questions well, not you personally at the moment, but do they come with issues they have in this life, and you help them understand why they're going through that? Maybe it's from a past life, who knows, a future life,
Yes.
or relationships in particular are a big mirror for us. How, as an example, how do you assist with that?
Well, again, I do nothing,
Yes.
but I open their records and people can ask questions about fears, about relationships, about decisions they're making, family things, their own growing, their own healing, their gifts, their purpose, anything and everything you can ask in the records, and information will come out. Like, if you're asking about a relationship, in the records, it's all based on your soul and your learning and how you are within this relationship. But the highest self of the other person might come forward. And then it's like you're having a conversation with this person in the highest possible dimension and timeline, and learning information about the relationship, which can be very healing and and provide a lot of understanding for people. It's important to also mention, within the records, information from all lives and realms are coming through, because this is your soul history. And so we can explore with relationships, like if you have a soul contract with this person, which you most likely do, and where that comes from a past life, and what you're learning together in this life, which just provides a much greater understanding of what's happening in this life. Like, how are you learning together in this life? Is the relationship finished? Is the soul contract finished? And then how can you peacefully part? Or is it still going? Is it still growing? Like, what are the different levels within it? It's infinite, really, of what you can learn.
It's wonderful, and it kind of almost detaches the individual. We get so caught up in a narrow mind of focus, but it detaches and creates almost a much greater, larger picture of our multidimensional self.
It does. And it's important to still be within the present moment. And this is something that I am personally learning right now, because I mean, I receive so much information. It's effortless for me of receiving through my line, through the Akashic realm, of putting different pieces together from past lives and the future and this and that and this and that. No matter what, like in this present moment, if you want to think of yourself as like the planet Saturn, I love to use this example. You're the planet Saturn in this present moment right now. And then you have the rings around you, and those rings are all of the messages and emotions and experiences that you have had in other lives. They're orbiting around you. And so you're feeling them, you're experiencing them, they're impacting your present moment. But as long as you're grounded and rooted in this present moment, receiving your messages, yes, you're very multidimensional, but then you're able to see the big picture, but you're also able to act in alignment for this life. Like, you're able to be present within this life and taking the steps that you need to take in this life, while also understanding the big picture. It's like zooming out and zooming in at the same time.
I love how you explain that. I'm sure you get this question often. Many people ask me, what is my soul's purpose? What is my path? How do I follow my soul's path? What's your advice?
Well, your highest self is going to guide you with this, but so often we're focused on doing. What kind of job can I do? What's my purpose in my job? And our purpose is not actually a job. It's never a job. We can apply our purpose to our job. But first and foremost, our purpose as incarnated souls in a physical body is to have this human experience, is to feel our emotions, is to move through things with a greater awareness, is to connect to our messages, is to connect to each other. Like, that's the biggest purpose of why we're in this physical body, is to experience. And then if we want to take it a step further into the soul's like mission and purpose and divine gifts, every person has come to this planet with their own unique medicine of what they're offering the world. And so this will come to not necessarily what is your talent, but like, what do you enjoy? What do you enjoy? And what brings you this connection to yourself, to source energy, to other people? What really lights you up? Because our gifts and our purpose, they go hand in hand. Like, our purpose is meant to be shared with others, and then we're also meant to receive energy back from that. Our gifts and purpose, it's not meant to just keep within ourselves, but it's also not meant to overextend. And this is why we can get into a bit of, and I say we as in humans, can get into a bit of a mentality of, well, my purpose has to be my job. I have to give, this has to be my job. When it becomes that, then very often we can overgive or like overextend ourselves and not receive that energy back into ourselves to refuel ourselves back up. That being said, like when I was doing record readings for people and stuff, like some people, for myself personally, one of my purposes is communicator, messenger. Now I could apply that to so many different ways of being, but it doesn't just limit myself to like my work. It's how do I communicate with people in my life? How do I communicate with people when I go to the grocery store? How do I carry my communication? Like, and not just in my physical voice, but in my energetic body. Like, how am I holding my emotions, my energy? I've read the records for some people that their purpose has been like, make the world a more beautiful place, like add beauty to your life everywhere. Now, some of these people are artists, some of them are designers, some of them are creatives, but it really depends. Like some people, their purpose will just be, you see things differently, add this difference to what you like, to your experience. So with purpose, we don't want to get stuck into what is my job. We want to open up in how do I feel connected to myself? What's coming through me? How do I connect to others? And what can I share? Like what is there for me to share? And then also surrender. When you open yourself up to this, then there's also divine timing of when it comes through. So our gifts, the way that I have seen this is we have our line, but I've seen our gifts as like these little purple beads that go down the midline of our body. And all these purple beads have like a white light language written on them, and they don't all activate at the same time. So some of our gifts might activate when we're children, and then it's going down, and other gifts are going to activate at different points in our life. And so if you're in a period of your life right now where you're like, I don't know what I'm going to do, like I'm stuck in this job I don't like, I don't understand, I don't know what my gifts are, I don't know what my purpose is. I understand, I've been there too. Like
me too.
I've had that moment. So the first step is to begin surrendering to your messages and begin listening, doing line activations, taking time for stillness, connecting back into yourself, and start listening to these messages, because your highest self is going to guide you out of this. But you need to be able to create the space to listen and to create the space to be quiet and connect in. You will be guided out of it, but you must allow the divine timing to work, and these gifts within you to also activate when they're meant to. These darker times, these times of feeling stuck, like we're in a rut, like our energy's not moving at all, those are the times to come back to self, come back to that place of gratitude. I'm grateful for this moment and the learning I am receiving, and come into a practice where we can receive our messages, start writing them down, write down everything that comes through, start making connections. And I promise you, if you are committed to yourself and your alignment with your highest self, you will be guided out of this experience and into a brand new life of alignment and deep transformation.
You're so passionate and inspiring.
The source is flowing through me. Like,
I love that. I love that. Do you mind sharing with the audience? I know you do have a line within practice or some basic tips how to do your modern version of a line within.
Yes, let's do it together. Okay. And enjoy my deer on the side.
I can see them. They're beautiful.
They are. Oh, that one is saying hello. Okay, we can all do this together. So I'll explain first what this is, and then we'll move through it together. So this line activation is a series or a daily practice of movement and breath work that is so simple, that came through me one day when I was doing Kundalini yoga. This was back in 2019. All of a sudden I was guided to do this Kundalini yoga, and I was so connected to it. And then the pinnacle, those are the energies I work with. They're Pleiadian energies from the Akashic Records. They said, now stop. We're going to teach you something else. Do you understand why we had you doing a breath work movement practice? So you could understand how this works. This line activation strengthens your intuition. Do it every day. It strengthens your intuition. It strengthens your connection to yourself, and it brings greater clarity to the messages you're receiving. Now, when you're doing the line activation, maybe it's quiet. Maybe you're receiving the stillness, the peace. You're not actually like hearing messages, but throughout the day, your awareness is activated. You're opening yourself up, opening this channel up to what it is that's coming through you. And you will begin to notice that you pick up these messages more frequently over time as you continue to practice this. So the practice, you begin with your hands in prayer position above the crown of your head. I'm going to move back so that we can see this. This is my daughter's little craft here. Um, you begin with your hands in a prayer position above the crown of your head, and then you're going to move them down the midline of your body until they begin to part naturally around this point. And then you move them back up. Now we're going to close our eyes while we're doing this, and I'll walk you through it. Actually, I'll tell you what we're doing first, and then we'll just do it together in silence. So when you begin with your hands above your head, you close your eyes, take a deep inhale, and then you're going to exhale all the way down. When your hands part, take an inhale, bring it back up, take an exhale to take it down, inhale, bring it back up, and we're going to do it 4 times. The reason we do it 4 times is because in order to feel a transformation, a cycle, we mirror the 4 seasons in nature. So we mirror the winter, spring, summer, fall. We do this in a series of 4. Now, if this is your first time doing this, and you end up doing it 5 times, you do it 3 times, it really doesn't matter. Like there's an outline of how to do it, but follow your own energy, follow how things are moving and flowing for you, and just allow yourself to be. So let's practice one together. Let's put our hands above our heads in a prayer position. Close your eyes. Take a deep inhale in through your nose. And as you exhale out your mouth, begin. Or sorry, as you exhale out your nose, begin. Now I led that, and I have no idea if I did 3 or 4. I lost count. So that's okay. Afterwards, after you do the line activation, the most important part, I would say, like this is the practice of connecting to that energetic frequency that's moving through you, like you're mimicking the motion of your messages. Afterwards, sit in activation, also known as meditation, stillness, just sit. So I usually take a mudra and just sit. And sometimes I'll sit for an hour, sometimes I'll sit for 5 minutes. But the more you soften into the experience, the greater it becomes for you. So it's like a 2-part series. Like you first do the breath work, the movement, and then you sit and allow yourself to receive. Maybe you're receiving all like from the beginning, like in the line activation, maybe you're receiving after, maybe it's a full experience. It's beautiful either way.
It's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And it's so simple. It's not complicated, but it really connects all the pieces of you. Thank you. I just wanted to touch on the pinnacle that you talk about, the collection of energies that you receive guidance from. Do you mind sharing a little bit more about them, the energies with the audience?
Yes, of course. So everything that I'm sharing today comes from the energies that I work with, and they're called the pinnacle. The pinnacle are like the librarians of the Akashic Records. They're like the gatekeepers. So those that we teach, we have a course called How to Read the Akashic Records with the Pinnacle. It's designed by the energy that's channeled through me. And usually the people who take that course end up working with the Pinnacle as well. Not everybody, but the Pinnacle organize the records. They decide what information's coming through. Like they're like the librarians, the top, the boss of the records. They're also the highest frequency, most evolved energy of Pleiadian consciousness. And so I channel them, I work with them. They have presented themselves to me a couple of times, so I've been able to see them. but not recently, not for quite some time. They've shown up for me in groups of 4 and groups of 7. So I guess in total there are 7. To me, they're just like one energy, but when they present for me to see them, they're very, very tall. They're very long. Their fingers are long. Their limbs are long. They're gray. They kind of almost look like a stereotypical, or like we would say, like what an alien looks like. But that like part of me wonders, and like, is that just like what my brain attached to what they would look like? But they have the most, they're funny. They have a sense of humor. They're very sharp with me personally, but they're very neutral. They're loving. They're gentle. They provide all of the guidance and information that I teach.
What a wonderful connection.
Yes. I'm so grateful.
I've just got 2 more questions, if you don't mind.
A
big one, and you did touch on it. Fear's a big one for many, many people. How to move through fear or experience fear and unrealistic fears, that it holds so many of us back.
Yes. And I mean, I know you shared with me, Luisa, that you're experiencing fear right now, and I'm also experiencing fear in my life right now. And I like to just imagine that I'm holding fear by the hand. I'm like listening to it. I'm learning from it, but I'm not allowing it to walk in front of me. It's walking beside me. It's here. I'm aware of it. It's walking beside me, but I'm still leading. I'm still receiving my messages. I'm still taking action on what's coming through. We have a workshop called Clear the Line, Release Fear that I believe everybody should move through, because it supports you in understanding the deep root of your fears, where your fear is coming from, because our fears show up as messages. It's not just, oh, I'm scared of doing this. It's, I'm scared of doing this because, and the because is something that is so deep within us, either from a past life, most likely from a past life, from something that we're growing through and healing in this life, from one of our greatest soul lessons. And when we can identify that and we understand that, once again, we can come back into gratitude. I'm grateful this fear showed up because it shows that I'm growing. It shows that I'm on like this next step. It's almost like video games. Like I'm on this next level of this human experience and I'm moving through it. And I acknowledge the fear is here, but it's here because of this. It's here because I'm moving now through this and I'm going to continue moving forward. And this is going to get easier for me. This fear is not going to be here forever. This is an energy and energy is always moving. So I'm able to release this. It's not going to be here forever. This is what I mean by walking beside it. I know it's there. I'm very aware that it's there. And I'm going to be kind to myself that it's there because it's part of my lesson. Now, we have our soul, our highest self, and our ego. Our highest self is this like pure, beautiful form of us that is constantly guiding us. That's where our messages come from. It's from our highest self. Our soul is our energetic body that incarnated into this physical body for growth. Our soul is always wanting to grow, experience new things, expand. Our soul wants to get uncomfortable. Our ego wants to keep us safe. It wants to hold us not necessarily back, but keep us in a pattern that has predictability, that has, it's reliable. We know it. Our ego plays tricks on us to think that we can control things and that we know it's coming. And, you know, like when 2020 came, people said, oh, these times of uncertainty, when it's like, haha, every day is uncertain. Yeah. Like we don't actually know what's happening. We don't know what's coming. You can be so psychic and have future predictions, but you don't necessarily know how that's going to happen. And so our ego is what brings up fears within us because our soul wants to expand. Our soul wants to grow. Our soul is receiving these messages from our highest self of take action on this, do this, experience this. And then our ego comes in with fear of, you can't do that. What if this happens? What if that happens? I'm going to keep you safe. I'm going to keep you in fear and keep you safe because I don't want you to do that. Both are important, you see. Both help us learn. Both help us grow. Both help us understand. We take action on our messages so our soul can grow and experience, but we look at our ego and walk hand in hand with our fear to understand this is my primal human energy that's just trying to protect me. But what is the deep root of where that's coming from? What is my ego terrified of moving beyond? Like, where is that coming from? It's moving through the deep energetic root of that fear that creates the growth and the expansion and the alignment and the path of destiny that you're moving down.
Amazing, amazing. And also I've found, well, I can only speak for me, but when I've moved through those fears and listened to my soul, my heart's desires, I've had great rewards.
Yes.
And you look back and you think, what was I afraid of?
Yes, yes.
And you can laugh at your fear.
Yeah, but fear
no longer holds weight.
Yeah, it's our primal human energy though. And so it's always going to happen. We're always going to have fear, but it's okay. Yeah.
Ashley, where's the best place for people to find you or connect with you?
Sure. On Instagram at ALN Within, and then the website is alnwithin.com, and the podcast is The Line Podcast.
Fantastic. So I've just got a final question, then I'll just leave it up to you. And I mean, this is in summary, and you've talked about this. How can we live our best life?
Well, I replace the word best with aligned, because aligned is not always going to feel the best. Mm-hmm. Like, it's going to feel easy, not easy, ease. It's going to feel like there's ease, there's trust. You can have that connection and trust that you are on a path. But living an aligned life sometimes means going through moments of growth and moments of challenge, because that is what expands us. And so I would replace that with, how can we live the most aligned life? And that is to listen to your highest self, trust your messages, listen to your guidance, because no one knows alignment better than your highest self. I can't tell you how to live your best life other than begin to listen to yourself. Bring that attention back onto yourself and your energy and your messages. Do line activations every day and begin to take action on what's coming through for you. And you will notice beautiful transformation that is going to happen, that is ready for you, that your highest self designed for you. And it's waiting for you to experience.
Ashley, thank you so much for being on Passion Harvest. It's been wonderful, insightful, passionate, and inspiring.
Amazing.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye, take care.
If you liked this episode, please do subscribe for weekly passionate, inspirational interviews.